All right, we're going to go live again here in just a second. So I'm doing this thing now where I'm just going on Instagram Live, and then I'm recording it on a different device, and then I'm putting that on all the podcast platforms. And that way, we can kill 0 birds with one stone. We can continue to be ineffective with one stone. That's kind of where we're at with that. And the purpose of this is me. Well, I see all these other big comedians, and they're doing Instagram lives for legions of fans, legions, and I'm doing it for 2 people. But that's okay. That's okay. I need to have faith in myself. I have no faith in I have faith in myself in some things. Like, for instance, I was reading a CNN article a couple of days ago. No, it was yesterday. Facts are important. It was yesterday. And they were listing a bunch of Christmas movies. These are Christmas movies that you wouldn't think were Christmas movies. And one of the ones they mentioned was Gremlins. And they wrote director Steven Spielberg's Gremlins. And I was like, no, wait a minute, goddammit. He was not the director of Gremlins. He was the producer of Gremlins. The director of Gremlins, clearly, was Joe Dante. Now, this tells me that I'm getting older because I was upset by that. That upset me. That they got, like, they didn't say that he directed it, but they didn't mention Joe Dante at all. And the way that it was worded, it sounded as if they were saying he did direct it when in fact he did not direct it. So either it was not worded specifically enough, or they thought he directed it. And I got irritated because, like, we're living in a world where, the people are accusing the news of not being truthful, and they need to get their facts straight about whether or not they got the right director of Gremlins. This is the end of modern civilization as we know it. I actually strongly considered writing a letter to CNN, handwriting, because that's what the kind of person would do. I don't want to send an email. I want to handwrite it, like I'm an old person from the 80s. That's exactly how I want to handle that situation. But I didn't. I calmed down and I went on with my day. And that's how it's going. And I've got this other thing too happening where I'm very conscious. I don't want to hurt other people's feelings because I feel like everyone else hurts mine. Even if they're not talking to me, I still, like, I went into a 7-Eleven once. Well, I've been in a 7-Eleven multiple times, but on one particular occasion, I went into a 7-Eleven, and I'm standing on one side of the 7-Eleven, and on the other side of the 7-Eleven were these 2 girls, not even looking at me. I don't know them, they don't know me. These 2 girls are just standing there on the other side of the 7-Eleven, and one of them says, "Ew." And my immediate reaction was, what did I do? What did I do? I took a shower. What's wrong? I immediately took it personally. She was not even talking to me. She was talking to something else about on the other side of the 7-Eleven. That is how oversensitive I am. The other thing I'm oversensitive to, sometimes I will do these live recordings, and there will be a message on the bottom of Instagram saying, "Hang on a second, we're reaching out to your followers." And that message will stay there for minutes and nothing will happen. And I can just feel Instagram saying, "You're not worth my time." And I know that that's something that's contrived in my mind. I know that. But on the other hand, I've had this thought, because I've been really struggling with depression for the last 39 years. And it took me a long time to get up today. I was very depressed this morning. The alarm went off at 9, but I was awake. It was that sort of early morning depressive haze, and the alarm went off, and I hit the snooze button. Then I fell back asleep kind of for an hour, and I had this vague dream that I saw someone I knew in college, and then we were both, I don't know, having a conversation. And I thought, oh, it was nice to check in with her. And then I looked her up, and she's not famous either. We were both theater majors, and I'm just, it just took me an hour and a half to just get out of bed. And I realized, and this is taking me back to my conversation about technology, I realized that it takes me about as long to wake up due to my depression as it does for any machine running Windows to turn on. And I'm now fully convinced. I used to make fun of the Windows machines. Now I feel bad. The Windows machines are clinically depressed. That is my theory about any machine that runs Windows. It's been depressed for the last 20 years. They're going to continue to be depressed. They're not as chipper as Apple. Apple computers, too happy. I'm sick of it. It turns on really fast. I'm an Apple computer. How can I help you? What do you want to do? And a Windows computer, you turn it on, and it's like, what? What do you want? Microsoft, do you want to type something? All right, give me a minute. Don't rush. I'm coming. That's any Windows computer, basically, is my view on that. Now I just realized I might be seated too far away from my other recording device, so I got to bring the other recording device closer to me to make sure that the recording devices are even. This is a very ghetto way of doing this. Can I even say ghetto? Am I going to be canceled now because I use the term ghetto, and clearly I am not ever from a ghetto, nor was I in a ghetto? Great. Well, this is awkward. Now I need to issue an apology. I would like to apologize to the communities of the world. I should not be using that word. Now I feel guilty about it. Now I'm like, this will be the podcast, and this will be the live stream that they find when they hire me for Saturday Night Live, and they're like, we can't use this Jew now. They won't, of course, say that, because that would be politically incorrect of them. But, so that's going on. I want to talk, I've been afraid to even talk about depression, because I haven't really been diagnosed with it since middle school, where I had the assumption that it was going to pass. I thought, in middle school and high school, my thought is, I'm going to get to college, and I'm going to finally be around adults, and I'm going to be around people who take everything seriously. They take theater seriously. That's what I'm going to be. And I'm going to meet someone, and I'm going to lose my virginity, and I'm going to find my tribe. And I got to college, didn't quite lose the virginity, found my tribe, and still managed to be depressed. And then I was depressed up until now. I really have two speeds: depressed or stressed. And it's gotten to the point, frankly, where the depression has become, frankly, the resting phase. All right, I'm not stressed. I've lost the will to live. This is fantastic. I can let go. So I go back and forth between depression and stress. Although I feel like I should almost say depression and stression. That should be the word, because then it sounds more poetic. But that would be not correct. That's not how the English language works. I can't just change it at will. I'm not William Shakespeare. I get that I'm not William Shakespeare. And I've said this before. I will say it again. Can we stop with the, in quarantine, William Shakespeare wrote a play. In quarantine, William Shakespeare wrote King Lear. What is quarantine if not a situation that forces people to be alone for extended periods of time where they can focus on solitary tasks? Oh my God. I mean, if anything, I'm bitching that he didn't complete 2 plays while he was in quarantine. That doesn't create an obstacle for a writer. Quarantine does not create an obstacle for a writer. If they can continue to sit down at their typewriter alone, that's or in the case of Shakespeare, quill or whatever he was using, then that's not a thing. That is not a thing. So stop it. Stop it with the Shakespeare who wrote King Lear. If you want to impress me, then Shakespeare should have done something during a quarantine that you don't normally do during a quarantine. Shakespeare had an orgy with 900 people all infected with the plague while writing King Lear. He survived it. He published the play. The play was amazing. He had 15 orgasms. Now that's a story. That's inspiring. I've gotten very emotional about this. Very heated emotion. Very heated for the 2 people watching. Or the 0 people watching. Whatever the case. Somewhere between 2 and 5 people are watching right now. That's all right. We all gotta start somewhere. I'm starting now on Instagram, and Instagram is no longer relevant. I should be doing this on TikTok, but I can't do this on TikTok because I have to have over 1,000 followers to live stream on TikTok. So I'm not one of the cool TikTok kids. And I don't do the dances that they're supposed to do on TikTok, nor do I go shirtless with other guys and say things like, don't follow us. I ended up watching one stream of videos of a bunch of guys not wearing shirts, and they're all saying, don't follow it. And that's what they said, and they have 1 million followers. Should I be doing that right now? Stop watching this, goddammit! Is that the trick? I don't know. We'll see. Screaming, probably not the trick. But I need to keep sitting closer to the device upon which I'm recording, because otherwise it won't come out right for the thing that I put on iTunes. I don't know. There's supposedly one person in Spain who listens to my podcast. That's it. One person every week downloading my podcast in Spain. Who is this lonely son of a bitch? Whoever this is, thank you, and I'm sorry. I will say both of those things at the same time. I appreciate the support. Maybe tell, I don't know, 1 or 2 other people about in Spain that I'm doing this. I'd appreciate it. I hope it's not a situation where you're listening in Spain, but you don't want to tell anyone about it because you're ashamed. I could understand if that was the case. I'm ashamed of it, and I'm the one doing it. Performing Instagram Live when you don't really have a following it's just a way to take my ego and feed it Chipotle. That's a low blow. I like Chipotle. Chipotle, not only is it delicious, but I often use Chipotle as a fuel source. I simply eat Chipotle, stick my ass out of the car, and get from North Hollywood to Burbank in nigh on 10 minutes. That is not fair. Chipotle is a quality product. It is. Most of the time. Chipotle, always good going down. Not 100% coming out. But, you gotta roll the dice. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice. Which reminds me of Guys and Dolls. I was the lead in Guys and Dolls. I was Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls at the Jewish Community Center. What I discovered in high school is that if I went to the Jewish Community Center, where all the Jewish kids were younger than me, it was the only place where, comparatively, I could be the man. I was the biggest. That's how small Jews are, people. I was the biggest one in my Jewish Community Center production of Guys and Dolls. Sky Masterson was not Jewish. There were non-Jews involved in the production. It was loose. Jewish or a fan of the Jews, one of the two. That's fine. It was a cool community center. I loved being at the Jewish Community Center. My only concern about being at any Jewish Community Center is that it just does feel like a giant goddamn target. Because every time I read in the news when there's an attack, it's at a Jewish Community Center. Maybe I mean, on the one hand, I think we should have a pride in who we are, and we should call it a Jewish community center. But then sometimes, when things get a little rough, there should be a button, and you push it, and it changes the name. Just change it to, the Mountain Center. Just call it the Mountain Center. Oh, that I don't know. That sounds vaguely religious, but it's not very specific. Do that. Just keep it. Just make it a little bit, hide it a little bit, maybe. The Star of David just transforms into Wonder Woman's star just while things are hot, and then when things get better, when things calm down a little bit, when the alt-right is a little less alty-righty, then we can go back to calling it a Jewish. Maybe I'm just being neurotic. So I'm definitely being Jewish. That's my take there. Can you believe I've been doing this for 15 minutes? It hasn't felt to me like 15. It's felt more like 11. It's felt like 14. It's felt a tight 14. But yeah, that's why I want to do this. Is my dream is to be a stand-up comedian. Some would say I am a stand-up comedian. Most would not. And that's it's not really an attack on the quality of what I do. It's more just the numbers. If you put my name on a marquee in Poughkeepsie, they'll go, is this, what is this, the sequel to Fiddler? It's, they don't know. But that's why I'm doing this. I feel like I need to stay on brand a bit more, though. I talk about I didn't lose my virginity until I was 32. I need to be able to talk about my perspective on that a bit more. Which is ironic because as somebody who's had so little sexual experience, I guess an outsider's perspective is what I have on it. Sex. Well, I can be observational about it. It seems fun. I don't know. From the videos I've seen, there's something there. That's my tagline for sex. That's my hot take on sex. There's something there. I don't think that people should be judged by when they lost their virginity. I don't think that just because it took me longer, that doesn't make me less of a person than somebody who lost it when they were 15. It really doesn't mean anything. I remember there was one woman in the audience after a show, or it was probably after a mic, and she said, listen, there's really no difference, Josh, between a virgin and most men who are just bad in bed. So if anything, I should be, this is Thanksgiving, the time to have gratitude. I have tremendous gratitude for the fact that I have so little sexual experience. Because, for the next few times at least, I can blame it on a lack of experience as opposed to me just being a bad lover. Finding the silver lining. There's always a silver lining, people. Always a silver lining. What if the cloud is silver? Yeah, what about that? So much for that aphorism. Is it aphorism? Saying. Whatever. Guys and Dolls. That's fun. Guys and Dolls is a fun show. Musicals are so wonderful. Guys and Dolls, it's the story about the one group of gangsters who are really not gangsters. Are they gangsters at all? I don't know. Are they even made men? I mean, really, the whole thing, revolves around this floating crap game. It's an illegal floating crap game in New York. If they go to Atlantic City, suddenly they're not criminals. Suddenly they are casino runners or whatever. That's not the right term, but you know what I mean. I've also been listening to a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber, hence the depression. And I've been listening to what am I listening to? Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is the musical that whatever. Here's what I like about Andrew Lloyd Webber. No matter how happy Andrew Lloyd Webber gets in his music, it still sounds depressed. He still sounds depressed to me, even if it's go, 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 Joes, if you know what they say. It's like underneath it, you're like, he wants to kill himself. And Joseph, it's trying so hard to be peppy, but I can feel the person underneath it is not wearing a multicolored coat. The person underneath it is wearing gray, pure gray. That's what they're wearing underneath it. But Joseph's a lot of fun. I listened to that one. I've been listening to a couple of songs from Starlight Express. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here. Starlight Express, if you're not familiar with Starlight Express, you must. Go watch a clip. It's about trains. It's a musical about trains. Anthropomorphic trains. As depicted by actors and singers who roll around the stage on rollerblades. Broadway, early 90s, late 80s. That's what was happening. My parents took me to see the Starlight Express, and I watched 2 hours of people rollerblading on a stage. And I don't know what that is even to this day. I don't know what to make of that. I just remember, I think I must have been, 8 or 9 when I saw it. And all I could think of the entire way through is that these are not trains. These are people on rollerblades. I don't care if they say they are a train. I cannot suspend my disbelief when I'm looking at someone on a rollerblade. Or rather, a pair of rollerblades. It's not a train. It is not a train. I don't know why that bothered. I almost would have preferred it if they didn't use the rollerblades and they just wore, black spandex and just somebody said at the beginning, they're trains, people. Use your imagination. I would have felt better about that than seeing them on rollerblades. I could not relax in that show. I never feel comfortable whenever I see anyone in rollerblades. They always look like they are about to die. So now I'm watching 15 people who are about to die, who are also singing. It was very disconcerting. I'm glad I wasn't in the front row. I would not want to be in the front row in a musical with people on rollerblades. Are you kidding me? How many bassoonists did they go through who were playing the bassoon in the orchestra pit, and then out of nowhere, an actor just falls on him? Bam! Dead! And they got to call the next of kin and say, well, Maurice won't be coming home tonight. An actor pretending to be a train wearing rollerblades crushed him. Why? Because Andrew Lloyd Webber would not be questioned. That is why. Because I think that might have been after Phantom of the Opera, where the producer will go, whatever you want, we won't question anything. Sure, I'm sure you know what you're doing. You did Phantom of the Opera after all. But I listened to the music from Starlight Express, like Andrew Lloyd Webber. I love Andrew Lloyd Webber. I love anything he does. I don't think there's been a musical that I haven't, liked. There's some I like more than others. I guess he's doing a new version of Cinderella, and the single is already out. It's called Bad Cinderella. It's a great song. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yes, for the one person watching this, and just in case SNL picks this up, and they're like, well, now we can't have Josh on the same episode that Andrew Lloyd Webber is on. Damn it. I think that was fair. I think I've been fair on this one. Yes? All right, well, it's been 24 minutes. And, I've had a little bit of interaction. It's been what it is. I hope that you continue to have, however you're doing, let me put it to you this way. Whoever's watching, whoever's listening, however you're doing, I hope that wherever you're at, it gets better. I'm not saying it will. I can't promise that. I can hope that. It's probably, if it does get better, I'm going to warn you, it's going to get better, and then it will get worse. But I'm hoping that you get a few more betters before we're all on fire again. I don't know what, when the minute it gets warm again. So April. All right, you've been great. Pleasure. have fun, and I will talk to you soon.